In this video, I'm going to review the Noontec Zoro 2 wireless headphones. These also come with a cord, which I'll show in a minute, so they can be corded or wireless, but typically if you buy these, I think you would use them as a wireless headphone. Let me first talk about the style of these, and I'll show these up close with the buttons and features and all that in a minute. But the style of the Noontec headphones, in my opinion, are really nice, and they advertise these as a fashion headphone, and so they look good. And the Noontec products is, and I've said this before in some of my other videos, they're kind of a knockoff of Beats, but I think they're a pretty good knockoff because personally I think they have a better sound signature than Beats, and they still look really good. Now these are an on-ear headphone, so that means that they sit on top of your ears as opposed to an over-ear headphone like the Noontec Hamo S, and these go completely over your ears. Now there are some advantages to each. The advantages of over-the-ear headphones like the Hamo that I just showed you are that they have a little bit better sound isolation, and some people might find them a little bit more comfortable because they don't push on your ears. Now these are actually a pretty comfortable headphone, and like I said, I'll show these up close in a minute, but they've got a really nice soft pad, and they've got the leather, the imitation leather, and the ear pads are very comfortable. And they don't have a really strong clamping force. In my opinion, the clamping force of these is just right. So they don't push too hard, but they do push down enough to give you some sound isolation. Now, the advantages of an on-ear headphone like these is that they're smaller. And so a lot of people like to wear these around your neck when you're not using them. And even when they're on, when you're out and about, they don't look too bulky. And when you pack them up and fold them, and both these and the Hamo fold up, they're a little bit more compact. A lot of the wireless headphones today are actually earbuds like these Jaybird Sport X2s. And these are some of my favorite earbuds for mountain biking. The advantage of a headphone is that one, the fit may not be as finicky as earbuds. Sometimes with earbuds, it can be a little bit of a chore to get these to fit into your ears properly to get a good seal. And also you might have to use these little fins to get the earbuds to stay in. Now obviously for working out heavily and mountain biking and running, these are going to be a little bit better. But these wireless headphones are really nice because you can just have them around your neck, put them on, and take them back off, which is really nice. So if you're doing stuff around the house and you need to talk to someone, it's real easy just to take these off and have your conversation and put them right back on without trying to get an earbud to fit in. And also the fit's going to be pretty much universal, so you're not going to have to try different ear tips or things like that. So that's an advantage that I found of the headphones. So I'm going to show you the headphones up close and show you some of the buttons. Before I show the buttons and features on the headphones, I'll show you what you get with the headphones when you get these. Just a pretty standard box, and it's got the kind of the instructions on the inside, but it's microscopic, as is the little owner's manual that you get with it. The prints, if you're over 40, you're not going to be able to read this print, so I don't know why they put this so small. But you do get a decent box with a magnetic closure. You get the charging cable, and this is a micro USB charger, and the charge port is just right here on the side. So it's nice that you have a pretty standard charger with these in case you have an Android phone. You're probably already going to have a charger, so if you travel, you really won't need to bring this. If you're an Android user, if you are an iPhone user, then you'll probably want to pack that in your bag. You also get a cable that comes with these, and I'll talk about that more in a minute, but it does have a single button remote, so play, pause, that kind of thing. And you get a bag, so a nice little travel bag. And I showed these before, kind of how they fold, but they go in the bag really easily. You don't get the really schwank case that you got with the Hamo S headphones. These, I thought, this case is just really, really nice. But the bag works. It does protect the headphones, and it is actually smaller than that kind of carbon looking case. So again, they just go right in the bag and pack up pretty nice, and I usually keep the cable in there just in case I need it. Button placement on these headphones is pretty intuitive. They're placed in a location where you would naturally place your thumb as you go to pick up the headphones or even as you're taking them off. To turn the headphones on, you would just simply hold this button down, and I've got these positioned so this is the left and this is the right, so typically as they would be on your head. So you would hold this button down and you get a voice after about 3 seconds.
Power on. Your headset is connected.
I don't know if you could hear that in the video. It says power on, your headphone is connected, and it's kind of a British voice, which is cool. So that would be to turn them on, and you get a little green light that comes on to let you know that the headphones are on. And to turn them off, you would hold this button down for I think about 4 or 5 seconds, and I'll hold this up to the camera, so the speaker, so you can hear it. So I'm going to hold this button down.
Power off. Your headset is disconnected.
So she says power off, your headset is disconnected. Also on the play pause button, whether the headphones are on or off, you can double tap that and you will get a battery indicator, which I found extremely helpful. So you've got 4 lights here on the battery. Now, one super positive thing about these headphones is the battery life is absolutely insane. I think they say you can get about 35 hours of battery life, and I have found that to be true. I have actually not burned these down all the way, and so you get pretty much constant, they say like 80% volume, you get 35 hours, which to me is amazing. Something like these Jaybird Sport will get 8 hours of battery life of constant listening. To play and pause your music, you would simply tap this button once. And by the way, these buttons have a pretty tactile feel. So there's a little click, and you can definitely feel when you press the button, which is nice. So play and pause would be here. And if you want to answer a phone call, you would just tap that button as the phone is ringing to grab the call, and you would tap it again to hang up. On the right side, you've got your volume control and to skip forward or back on a track. So this button would be to skip forward on a track. And by the way, in the instructions, there's a little bit of a typo. It actually says this button goes back a track, but the top button is volume up and skip forward on a track. So to skip a track forward, you would double tap this button and it would move forward to the next track. Same with the bottom button, you would double tap this button and it would go back to the beginning of the song. And I think if you do it again, it would go to the previous song. To change the volume, you hold the volume button down. After about a second, it's going to start going in increments. So you would hold this down, and if you wanted to go up quite a bit of volume, you would just keep holding it down. Once you get to your desired volume, you would let go. Same with going down on the volume. You would just hold this bottom button down, it would go down. While I am showing these headphones up close, let me talk about the quality of build on these, which I feel is very good. Noontec typically will have this brushed aluminum logo on the sides, which looks pretty sharp. Brushed aluminum here, Zoro 2 wireless, and these are the hinges that I've showed. And the hinges are pretty firm. They do fall open kind of easily, but when on your head, it doesn't matter. And this is how you would adjust the headphones to your head size. The comfort on these is very good. I think I mentioned that. The leather, the fake leather, I would assume, on the inside is very soft, as is the leather on the headband. So again, a lightweight headphone and a very comfortable headphone. They do have a plastic build, but that's to keep the weight down. And even though it is plastic, these do not feel cheap. They do feel like a pretty good quality headphone. And you can get these in different colors, by the way. I think the black and red looks pretty cool, but you can get a couple of different color options, which is nice. You've got your left-right indicator on the inside. So again, it's a pretty good build quality overall. Now I'll talk about the sound quality of these, because obviously that's going to be one of the most important things for a lot of the people watching this video. These are a really good sounding headphone, and especially for the average listener. These are not advertised as an audiophile type headphone, but they do have a really good sound signature. I had reviewed the Ham-OS, and the Ham-OS headphones have really strong bass and really decent clarity. And I actually found the Zoro 2 wireless to have a similar sound signature as the Ham-OS. I had reviewed the Zoro 2s, the wired ones, before, and I felt that those had a really, really clear sound, but they lacked a little bit in the bass. In fact, they were a little bit too thin for me in the bass. These have to me, quite a different sound signature of the regular Zoro 2s, in that the bass is very strong. I would give the bass on a scale of 1 to 5 about a 4, and it's a clear sounding bass. It's not real muffled or muddy or overbearing in the music, and so as far as clarity, and clarity is something that I put a really high value on for headphones, I would give these about probably a 3.5 as far as the clarity, and it's very similar to the Jaybird Sport that I showed you here, the X2s. Which are pretty clear sounding headphones. These have a 3.5, maybe a 4 as far as clarity. And I actually found with the Jaybird Sports that with the silicone ear tips, you get a little bit better clarity than these the foam ones. But I cannot get these to stay in my ears without the foam tips. So again, a pretty similar sound to the Jaybird Sport. So if you're familiar with those, you're going to like these. The way they sound. These have probably a tad more warm sound than the Jaybird Sport. Again, I like to throw out other types of headphones in case you want to do some comparisons. But the sound is pretty warm. The sound stage is pretty decent. Sound stage means how far the music kind of sounds spread out, because on-ear headphones, because they don't encapsulate your ears, they give a little bit better sound stage. Now these have pretty good isolation, don't get me wrong. They do really block out the sound, but they also have pretty decent sound stage. So the mids to me are pretty decent. They're not as clear as something like these Audio-Technica ATH M50s, and these are my gold standard as far as clarity. These I would give a 5 in clarity, probably a 4.5 on bass, and the clarity of the mids and the highs, I give a 5 for these. Whereas these probably get about a 3.5. So again, these are not an audiophile headphone, but for the average listener who just wants music on the go, these I think you're going to find a very, very good sounding headphone. And for a wireless headphone in this price range, it's really good. Now, these would be compared to the Beats Solo 2 wireless, and for the value, these retail for about $150. Or actually, I think they retail for about $200, but you can find these for about $150 online. So for the value of these, I think these have an excellent sound for a wireless headphone. What's really nice about these too is that you have the cord option. So with the cord, you can, if the battery goes down on these, then you can plug in the cord, and then you've got your single button remote here that does the play, pause, answer calls, that kind of thing. And so the cord, what's interesting is I don't really notice a real difference in the sound quality of these between the wireless and using the cord, which shows that Bluetooth technology has really come a long way. Some of the older Bluetooth headphones that I listened to sounded kind of digital, but these still have a very warm, very clear sound even without the cord. So that's one nice thing. In terms of call quality, you can hear the person on the other line very, very nicely with these. And I don't know where the microphone is on these. I have looked for it. But all I know is that these make a really good headphone for just talking on the phone. So if you're, I keep these at my desk sometimes, and if you want to take a call, it's so easy just to take these up and put them on your head. Again, compared to an earbud where you're kind of having to, pull your ear up a little bit and get it fitted in right if you want it to fit really well. These are just a matter of picking up and putting on your head. So the other end, I did a test where I called my voicemail, and it's not quite as clear as if I talked directly into the phone, but still it's clear, and I've never had anybody complain about not being able to hear me. So for using these for phone calls, I think they do a really good job. If you're someone who sits at a desk and takes a lot of phone calls throughout the day, but you're not constantly on the phone, These make a really good headphone to just pick up, put on your head, and take a phone call. Where I found these headphones to be the most useful is doing things like working around the house, especially doing dishes or doing work in the garage, even getting out and walking. In other words, you're very active. I typically will use the Bluetooth headphones now unless I'm sitting in one place. If I'm sitting in one place and just listening to music at home, I will use my Audio-Technica AT HM50s. I absolutely just think these are the best headphones made for that price, and they are definitely a good audiophile headphone, again in that under $200 price range. But for being active, especially if you're traveling and you just want to pack up a pair of headphones and go, these make a really, really good headphone, especially with the super long battery life. You could fully charge these, take these on a trip and never have to charge them while you're on that trip, unless you just, it's a super, super long listening session. But for the average person, you could go on a trip and never have to worry about charging these up. So in terms of exercise, if you're going to be doing some exercise where you're sweating a lot, I would not recommend these. So jogging, things like that. If you're working out in a gym and really sweating, like doing cardio, I'm going to recommend something like these Jaybird X2s because the ear pads will get sweaty. Once you start sweating on these ear pads, they just, they don't feel really great. So working in the garage, like I said, if it's in the middle of the summertime, these are a little bit too hot. They're really good for being active unless you're doing a lot of sweating. So to wrap up this review, I would recommend these headphones to anybody who prefers a headphone over an earbud. Again, because the fit is pretty much standard. You don't have to worry about the tips and sizes of the tips and everything. So again, if you like a headphone and you're active and you want to move around and you don't need these, like I said, for intense cardio type exercise, but you just want to do stuff around the house, have a good headphone for traveling, then I would highly recommend these headphones. Having the cord as a backup to me is just icing on the cake. And let me just say one last thing, is that one really great thing about wireless headphones and earbuds, is that you don't have cable thump. So when you're moving around the house or whatever you're doing with the headphones, if you have a cable, it can bump against your shirt, especially with earbuds, ones that go inside your ears. It's not as noticeable on a headphone, but still the cable can thump around and carries the sound into the headphone. And so that's one thing that I really like about the wireless type headphones, is you don't get that cable thump. So again, for the price, I think these are an excellent buy if you compare them to other brands like Beats, which are pretty much twice the price of these. And to me, I think these have a better sound than Beats. It's a clearer sound than like the Beats Studio or Beats Solo. And you still get the bass that I think a lot of people look for in a pair of headphones. So that'll wrap up this review of the Noontec Zoro 2 wireless headphones. Thanks for watching.